The Life and Legacy of Imam al-Ghazali, A Journey of Faith and Knowledge. Imam Abu Hamid Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Ghazali, known to the world as Imam Ghazali, was one of the most influential scholars, theologians, jurists, and philosophers in the history of Islam. Born in 1058 CE in the Persian city of Tus, in the province of Khorasan, modern-day Iran, his life was marked by intellectual brilliance, deep spirituality, and a profound quest for truth. Early life and education. Imam Ghazali was born into a family that valued education and spirituality. His father, although not a scholar himself, was deeply pious and ensured that his sons would have access to learning. Upon his father's passing, Imam Ghazali and his brother were entrusted to a friend of their father, who enrolled them in a local madrasa, where their formal education began. Young Ghazali's thirst for knowledge soon became evident. He traveled to the city of Nishapur, one of the great centers of learning in the Islamic world at the time, to study under Imam al-Juwayni, known as Imam al-Haramain, the Imam of the two holy sanctuaries. Under his guidance, Ghazali mastered various disciplines, including Islamic jurisprudence, fiqh, theology, kalam, logic, and philosophy. Imam al-Juwayni recognized his students' prodigious intellect, and soon Ghazali was not just a student but a rising star in the academic circles of Nishapur. His reputation for his sharp mind and his ability to debate and dismantle complex arguments led to his appointment as a professor at the Nizamiya Madrasa in Baghdad, a prestigious institution of higher learning funded by the Seljuk Empire. The intellectual crisis. Despite his success and growing fame as a scholar, Imam Ghazali underwent a profound internal crisis. He became increasingly disillusioned with the purely intellectual and theoretical approach to religion and life. Although he had mastered the sciences of his time, he felt spiritually empty. The philosophical debates and the legal rulings no longer satisfied his soul's deeper longing for truth. This crisis culminated in 1095 CE when, in the midst of his professional success, Imam Ghazali suffered a complete breakdown. He lost the ability to speak and teach, and felt overwhelmed by doubt about the ultimate purpose of his knowledge and life. Realizing that his intellectual pursuits were not leading him toward inner peace, he decided to abandon his prestigious position and worldly affairs altogether. Ghazali left Baghdad under the pretense of going on pilgrimage to Mecca, but in truth, he had embarked on a personal spiritual journey. He spent the next 10 years traveling, reflecting, and living a life of asceticism. He visited Damascus, Jerusalem, and Mecca, where he devoted himself to prayer, meditation, and the study of Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam. The revival of religious sciences. It was during this period of seclusion that Imam Ghazali wrote his magnum opus, Ihya Ulum al-Din, the revival of the religious sciences. This monumental work sought to reconcile the outer practices of Islam with the inner dimensions of faith, emphasizing that true knowledge must be accompanied by sincere worship and personal transformation. The Ihya covered a wide range of topics, including ethics, jurisprudence, theology, and Sufism. It focused on the heart's purification and the importance of sincerity ikhlas in all actions. In this work, Ghazali criticized the dry legalism of the jurists fuqaha and the overly speculative nature of the philosophers, calling instead for a balanced approach that harmonized the intellect and the spirit. One of Ghazali's most significant contributions in the Ihya was his emphasis on the concept of intention niyya. He taught that every act, whether mundane or religious, could be an act of worship if done with the right intention. This teaching had a profound impact on Islamic spirituality, as it brought to the forefront the idea that Islam is not just about external observance, but about inner consciousness and connection with God. The Critique of Philosophy. Imam Ghazali's other famous work, Tahafut al-Falasifa, the Incoherence of the Philosophers, was a critical response to the prevailing influence of Greek philosophy, particularly the works of Aristotle and Plato, on Muslim intellectual thought. In this book, Ghazali argued that while philosophy had its place in certain fields like logic and ethics, it was inadequate for addressing metaphysical and theological issues. He specifically targeted the views of Muslim philosophers such as Ibn Sina, Avicenna and Al-Farabi, accusing them of deviating from orthodox Islamic beliefs, particularly in their views on the nature of God, prophecy, and the afterlife. Ghazali's tahafut had a lasting impact, causing a significant decline in the influence of philosophy in the Islamic world, particularly in the eastern regions. His critiques of reason and philosophy emphasized that while the intellect was an important tool, it was limited in its ability to grasp ultimate truths. For Ghazali, spiritual insight and divine revelation were the true paths to knowledge. Return to public life. After nearly a decade of seclusion, Imam Ghazali was persuaded to return to teaching, though he did so reluctantly. He accepted a position at the Nizamiya Madrasa in Nishapur, but his approach to teaching had fundamentally changed. While he continued to engage with legal and theological subjects, he now placed a greater emphasis on spirituality and ethics. His students were exposed not only to intellectual knowledge but also to the practical teachings of Sufism, which he had come to see as essential for a complete understanding of Islam. In his later years, Ghazali continued to write extensively. His works ranged from philosophical treatises to personal letters, where he advised students and scholars on matters of the soul and the heart. His influence spread far and wide, and he became known as Hujjat al-Islam, the proof of Islam, for his role in revitalizing the faith. Legacy. Imam Ghazali passed away in 1111 CE, leaving behind a rich legacy that continues to shape Islamic thought to this day. His synthesis of Islamic jurisprudence, theology, philosophy, and mysticism bridged gaps between various schools of thought and provided a comprehensive vision of Islam that addressed both the mind and the soul. His works, particularly the revival of the religious sciences, continue to be studied in Islamic seminaries across the world. Scholars and lay people alike have found in his writings a guide for how to live a life of purpose, sincerity, and devotion to God. Ghazali's balanced approach, which combined rigorous intellectual inquiry with deep spiritual practice, has made him one of the most revered figures in Islamic history. Imam Ghazali's journey from a brilliant scholar struggling with doubt to a mystic sage who found peace in divine presence serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of seeking both knowledge and spiritual fulfillment. His life story is not just the tale of a great thinker, but the story of a soul's quest for truth, a quest that resonates with seekers across all times and places.